Let the chaos reign.
Chaos Reign presents Mental Illness or Racial Battles, Fatigue, with my guest, Brendan Jones. Broadcast November the 24th, 2019. Enjoy.
The views expressed on Talk Real Solutions, hosted by Tyrone Thompson at TalkRealSolutions.com, are the views of Tyrone Thompson and do not reflect the views of TalkRealSolutions.com, YouTube, or etc. The content here belongs to Talk Real Solutions and its many contributors. Views and opinions expressed by all contributors belong to them and not TalkRealSolutions.com or Tyrone Thompson, the host, or etc. All data and information provided on the site is for informational purposes only. Talk Real Solutions makes no representations as to accuracy, completeness, correctness, suitability, or validity of any information on this site and will not be liable for any errors, omissions, or delays in this information or any losses, injuries, or damages arising from its display or use. All information is provided on an as-is basis.
In a world where there's crime, corruption, violence, rape, murder, theft, and all forms of atrocity that plague the world we live in today, what you're witnessing, we're living in a state of chaos, and until a greater or much extremer chaos will restore the order in which we live today. Good evening, black people. This is Chaos here. And tonight, I have a special guest and a very touching topic, and something that, I covered in certain streams on Chaos Reign here, channel, and on, talk show, audio show. But, we're going to look into this in a different fashion. But before I give you the title for tonight's show, I would like everybody to tune in and go to TalkRealSolutions.com. In TalkRealSolutions.com, there you'll find a 3-point plan for black empowerment, black achievement. Also on the website, you see a list of black established-owned banks located here in the United States of America. I think there's a total of still 30 banks that is black-owned, run and control here in America. So wherever you are in the 50 states where these 30 or less banks that's established, that's black-owned, I wouldn't mind if you like to, if you have an account rate on your local bank to, create an account on a black established bank and start, moving your money into different, accounts and, start operating and, save your money and, build on another institution besides the usual bank if you feel comfortable with the banks you're in now. But if not, give a black bank a try near you. So that information is on the website. Also on the website, you will see the latest articles and news that's going around here in this country and abroad. All the latest from, going on to politics, maybe entertainment, and, some deal with economics. But like always, all that information and the latest that's going on in the news, you can find that there on the website, on talkrealsolutions.com. And also on Talk Real Solutions, there is a donation piece where you could donate and contribute to the stream. Anywhere you see that the show is what you can afford, donate, to keep the lights on or make it grow than what it is now. So don't be hesitant to hit that donation piece on the website as well. Another thing, you also find Talk Real Solutions on YouTube as well. You can also type up Talk Real Solutions. You'll see the nice lion. That's the insignia symbol of Talk Real Solutions. So you'll find my shows, all other shows from people that do shows, host shows here on a weekly basis. On the average, Talk Real Solutions runs 7 days a week. Sometimes it goes for 6 or most, or maybe lesser. But usually the show is aired on the average 6 to 7 days a week. As you know, my show is on a Sunday on the average. And there are exceptions to the shows I broadcast on a Sunday. I might do some on the weekday. And so depending on the situation and, who I have on to bring on to talk about the issues that face us as a collective people here. So you'll find my shows, all the broadcasts from my shows to ABC and others that host on Talk Real Solutions on YouTube. So, you're never missing a beat once you're a subscriber to the channel on YouTube, Talk Real Solutions. And also you can subscribe to me, T.R.S. Rain channel, also on YouTube as well. So don't be hesitant to hit that, that bell and subscribe to T.R.S. Rain as well. And then the call number for tonight's show is 712-770-4160. The access code 91541#. I repeat, 712-770-4160. The access code 91541#. All right, tonight's show, T.R.S. Rain presents Mental Illness or Racial Battles of Fatigue. And I have my guest, no other than Mr. Brendan Jones. So as I open the line, if you could press *6, Brendan, I'll see you on the host queue. All right. So for no further ado, I have my special guest, first time here on Talk Real Solutions, Mr. Brendan Jones. All right. Can you hear me, Brendan?
Yes, I can. Greetings.
Greetings, sir. Welcome to Talk Real Solutions and on the Chaos Rain channel. How are you doing, Brendan Jones?
I'm doing well this evening. It's good to be here. Thank you for opening up your platform to myself to have this conversation that, unfortunately, many of us have to deal with on a consistent basis. Is it mental illness that we're struggling with? Is it racial battle fatigue, which has been a term that has gained a lot more notoriety over the last couple of years? And I'm just here to add my perspective and hopefully hear from yourself and others who are listening what their perspective is on this matter as it pertains to us as black folks.
Yes. And, to be honest with you, Brendan, when you gave me the options of what to talk about, I went and before the weekend started, I just click on one of them, and I noticed to talk about the fatigue or the racial battle alone. And I think to myself, I never did cover that and really have a examination on that. So that's why I kind of picked that.
Sure.
So tonight we're going to probably discuss that. But before we go onto the subject matter, I like everybody that comes on the guest the first time, we like to take a step back in time before we leap forward in the present and potentially the future. So if you could tell people for the first time listening a little bit about yourself.
Oh, absolutely. So again, my name is Brendan Jones. I'm a psychotherapist, professor, and author. I'm born and raised in St. Paul, or the Twin Cities of Minnesota. Yes, there are black people in Minnesota, and I'm one of them. I grew up in a household full of trauma and drama. Grew up seeing a lot of domestic violence. Was my stepfather, who was aggressive towards my mother. I ended up finding out that my stepfather wasn't my real dad a couple weeks before my 12th birthday, when my grandma let off the family secret. She wasn't supposed to do that. I got to actually meet my real dad around that time. Things didn't pan out, really didn't develop a relationship with him. And that had a huge impact on just me developing as a young man and trying to figure out life and not feeling like I could trust other black men due to the trauma that black men have caused in my life, and not seeing the trauma that black women caused in my life at that time. So I got a little bit older. But I was, growing up, I was a pretty smart kid. I also had some athletic ability. I was really good at football. I was recruited in middle school to play D1. And as I continued to grow and move forward, my body didn't get as big as my position that I played at defensive end and offensive lineman. And my high school team was trash. So the recruits stopped coming, and I had to start using my mind instead of my body to figure out what my next move was going to be in society, because I knew that D1 football wasn't going to be an option, even though my talent level was there. But I knew that my mind could take me farther than my body would. So I was a nerd and an athlete at the same time. I always maintained pretty good grades, even though I hid it, because, coming from where I come from, being a smart black dude is not the thing to do. Being a smart black man is not what's seen as cool, and you can get teased for it. And me being smart enough to understand that, I would hide my intellectual ability, even knowing I would do well academically. So, being smart and being able to have athletic ability actually helped me get to college. I went to the University of Minnesota. I originally went to school to study dentistry, and found out really quick, being a first-generation college student and being a college student who comes from a public school, you learn real quick when you go to a big-time university that the education you got in your high school does not match the level of education that's at a school like the University of Minnesota. So even though I knew that I was intelligent, my grades could not keep up because I didn't have the social. I wasn't socialized to participate or socialized to even compete at a level that my peers were in college. So I got put on academic probation. I was also partying and kicking it with all the football players and stuff too. So it ain't all just the system. It was me and my personal choices, just having that level of freedom that I didn't have. Got put on academic probation my first semester. I'm going to kick out of school, and I was able to kind of shift my major, get on the right path. And when I shifted my major, I studied what's called sociology, which is working with human beings and understanding behaviors, race, class, gender issues, and things of that nature. And from there, I just started to do my work with people, ended up graduating on time in 4 years. And I took a year off, and then I went and got a master's degree in what's called community psychology, which is the same as social psychology, and just understanding how group dynamics and environments affect people's mental and emotional health. And then from there, I went and got a second master's degree in psychotherapy, and I've been doing therapy now since 2013. And recently, during that time of doing therapy, I won a pretty prestigious award in the Twin Cities called the Bush Foundation Leadership Fellow. And with that work, I was able to develop curriculum and work as a consultant on social and emotional intelligence with black men and young black men. And with that work, it opened up a lot of possibilities, which led to me teaching on the college and academic post-secondary level. I've been teaching at I teach at two universities, one community college, one university now. I've been doing that since 2017, and I'm currently wrapping up a book. I'm married. Been married since 2012. I have two daughters, 6 and 4. So that's me in a nutshell. To someone who's always been tuned to the community, I've had my stint in the pro-black sector, even to the point where I almost changed my name. I've been around for a long time, pretty well studied. Some of my favorite authors, Millie Fuller Jr., Dr. Francis Curtis Wells, and Amos Wilson. I've been around the block for a while. I've hosted podcasts. I have a YouTube channel. I'm restarting the YouTube channel now. I've been featured on other people's broadcasts as well. But my main goal has always been, how do I help utilize my own brain knowledge, my own book knowledge, my street smarts to help advance my people. So even making that decision to become a therapist, a mental health therapist, was always focused on how do I help Black people overcome what we've gone through and move forward? How do I help Black people move forward from the post-traumatic slave syndrome that we end up having? We call it post-traumatic slave syndrome, but we don't understand how it's affected us even after slavery. We still have issues going on. To now what we are calling, racial battle fatigue, and we're starting to see it show up in many different ways. And really, my big focus now is talking about anti-Blackness, because racism, white supremacy is a heavy thing that has affected us, but it's been in motion for so long that we've internalized it so roughly that we start to turn on each other. And we have all these issues that are going on. So that's me in a nutshell. I'm open to any questions about my past, things that I've done, things that I haven't done. I don't know if that's enough context to give you or not, but feel free to ask me questions.
Well, that's a very excellent bio. I appreciate that. And, it's like a well-read template of a person's life in, I think under 5-10 minutes. But, I think I get a lot. And, you say a lot. And I think one thing that caught my attention, besides the books or the scholars that inspire you a little bit, is that I think you're the only one that came up with this term of the fatigue dealing with racism. And when I think about today, what I'm witnessing now, Brendan, is that a lot of Black people are actually throwing in the towel.
Absolutely.
Not only mentally, but now it's now leading to the physicality.
Yep.
It's gotten so bad that, some of our people that are descendants from ancestors to ancestors of this country, either they want to escape America and think that they'll be good somewhere else where they don't have to deal with racism, or doing something totally different, or trying to assimilate so well that they change who they really are to be, submissive to other non-Black people. Even in these relationships, and if you notice, and this is done by other content that I started to pick up, that a lot of Black people, when they engage in, let's say, interracial or relationships with other beings, right? I'm using beings to be nice, because they do this when they engage in it. They have to water down what they really are, or what their upbringings are, or who they are, just to make their mates comfortable. And I'm thinking back in my mind, because I don't experience this, that why I want to go into another relationship with someone that doesn't have my experience just to make them feel comfortable. It sounds counterproductive, because I still have to operate the skin I'm in by the so-called society, or the dominant society. Well, I understand why most brothers, besides the sisters, because sisters do it too, but for the sake of conversation, we're going to focus on the men right now for this instance. They do this, and they do this very comfortably, where they think it's not a big idea. It's like, as long as it's like a trophy to say, I have this woman, so I'm actually validated to decide that, see, I am one of you, I'm married into one of you, and I have created children into you. But still, as I go out in the world, engaging you, I still get that so-called abuse.
Yes.
Systematically. Not verbally, but just systematically. Because abuse happens in many forms, Brendan. As you know, as a therapist, because you sit around people, and then people tell you about the abuse they suffer. I mean, you have overcome a great abuse during your childhood. And usually people that go for that, I mean, to see that you're still intact, or not, like I said, we still keep some form of our humanity and our Blackness, our Africanness, after going for all that. Usually most men that go through that, the issues that you find, and I don't know if you could explain it better. If you could explain what issues most men go through after going through, let's say, that type of trauma abuse. What happens as they become adults?
Absolutely. Typically, if we're talking about young men specifically, we have to grow up fast. Even myself, even though I had a stepdad when he was abusive, but he wasn't always around. But when he was around, it was always problematic. But there were a lot of times when he wasn't there. So I had the same. I pretty much grew up with a single mom, like many of us do. And my mom said the same things that many Black women say to young Black boys. is you got to be the man of the house. I'm 9 years old. I don't know a damn thing about being the man of the house. But I had responsibilities because I was the oldest. I had 2 younger brothers. So I was a kid who my mom taught me how to cook when I was like 7, 8 years old. And I'm not talking about cook ramen noodles. I'm talking about meals. She taught me how to tuck out ground beef and cook chicken breast and make spaghetti and hamburger helper. Like, I was chefing it up at like 9 years old. Well, you really don't want your kid in the kitchen at 9 years old because they could burn the damn house down. But yeah, it's
yeah.
So a lot of us have to grow up fast, and what ends up happening for us is a lot of black boys develop anger issues because we don't know how to. Men don't control their emotions very well, period, and especially in our community where we don't have enough positive and constructive male influence in our homes and in our community in general. A lot of us don't learn how to be masculine and also to manage our emotions at the same time. A lot of us are being conditioned to have a feminine kind of standpoint on our emotional management, and you see this with adult males today who respond to things like a stereotypical woman will respond to things. So our emotions are out of whack, and for a male, it's easier for you to just get frustrated and angry and bottle. Either we bottle things up or we lash out too quick. But typically, what happens when you bottle up so much emotional pain, and then you lash out at some point, it gets dangerous for people. And that's why we see a lot of the issues that we see with our young black boys today. It's because they don't know how to manage their emotions. This is why I talk about social and emotional intelligence, because it's a good framework and tool in understanding how do you understand yourself, how do you manage yourself, how do you understand your environment and their relationships and the society around you, and how do you manage within that. Like, it's very important. But many of us don't learn that lesson. Black boys aren't allowed to have emotional responses unless it's dictated by someone else, like on an athletic field, like on a field or a court. That's when we can express ourselves, and even then we get judged a certain type of way. So a black male, we can't cry. You're not supposed to show any emotional pain. You can be angry, but you need to be angry with people that look like you, but you can't be angry with someone else who may be doing the same amount of harm for you. And you can't be mad at anyone that's not a black male. Like, you can't get mad at black women because you get judged. Even if they hurt you or do something wrong, you can't say anything about it. You can't do nothing about it because then you're looked at as wrong, even though you might have got hurt. You know, you mentioned myself. I had to go through a lot. I had to do my own research. Like, I was somebody who studied a lot of stuff trying to figure out what does it mean to be a man. And, of course, like many black boys, I had the role models that are put in front of us through the media. So I'm an old millennial. I'm 33 years old. My idols were 50 Cent, Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, and Baby from Cash Money. Those are my idols. So that's who I mirrored as these are men that I should subscribe to be like. They get money, they respect it, they have a voice. I didn't have local role models at the time because I was looking at how do I get this paper, how do I get this money like these men do, and how do I get these girls like these men do. Because no matter what they look like, Baby from Cash Money, I mean, he's not handsome. He gets women. So that was me. I was like, man, I need to be the number one stunner. I need to get on that type of level. Until me living that lifestyle didn't fit the environment that I was in. And when you go to college and you're on a predominantly white campus and you're trying to be the number one stunner, it don't work that well. There's people looking at you like you crazy, like you don't belong. So I had to adjust again, and I lost myself in that adjustment. So then I started to subscribe to more European thought processes and white folks to fit in those groups. But still trying to maintain a pro-black identity, it gets tough. So you see a lot of folks who are in my type of predicament end up getting with white women. A lot of black men end up getting white women because it's a soothing type of thing. It's a comfort in that. And then a lot of us stay in that situation. Myself, I didn't stay in that situation. Yeah, I've been with white women because I live in Minnesota, and they come after you when you a black man. They don't give a damn what it is.
Yeah, man. You know what they said, Brendan? They're curious. They say, I wonder how big it is. Oh, that's okay. White women are curious. That's why when they see the press. See, if you notice, Brendan, the only time a Caucasoid could express her sexual fetish is really when they're in college. You think about it.
Oh, absolutely. And honestly,
in high school, dependent, they might get away depending on the environment they're in, but really they really turn out and they engage in their, lust and their, fetish desires for other nations of men. It's in college.
Yeah, college
and that's
is number one.
Yep.
I would actually go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead. I'm listening.
I was going to say, I would take it one step further. I would say the curiosity starts in college. That's where the curiosity starts in high school. That's where I got exposed to it the most. I had white chicks that I didn't even notice because I wasn't even focused on them come out of the woodworks to get a piece of me. And I was always timid on white women in high school. And actually I was timid with them like my first year of college too. I was getting a lot of attention, but I kept rejecting it. And finally I just gave in sophomore year. But the curiosity starts in high school. The experimentation starts in college. That's when they want it. Because they're away from home. They got a little bit more freedom. And
Daddy's not around not around to question them and to say, have you been sucking these Negroes' dicks? Are you fucking?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know what
multiples at a time. Yeah, double fisting dicks all day. The other thing about it is college, there's a lot more leisure time. People don't realize that. Like in high school, you have your typical, 6-hour periods and things like that, and it's a day-by-day thing. But in college, you can have all your classes on 1 or 2 days. So the rest of the week, you can just be laying around doing whatever. So there's a lot more access and opportunity for sex to happen, and there's a lot more access and opportunity for things that intensify the sex, like drugs and parties and things like that, alcohol, things like that. So the experimentation takes place in college. The curiosity, I think, starts in high school.
I see.
And for me, for me, I was scared of white women because I seen Rosewood. I seen Rosewood. I was like, I ain't never messing with no white chicks. And I finally gave in. It was like late first semester of sophomore year. I was like, look, this chick, she just won't leave me alone, so I just give her some. Let me just go ahead and do it. Let me try it out. And that was one of the most awkward experiences ever. But I did it, and I was like, wow, this ain't no different than the black females that I've been with. And then I started to learn more about myself years later. Like, no, this is very different because I don't have any leverage in this relationship. We can have a platonic relationship. It's mutual on both ends. I can break up with this woman or frustrate her. She can go report me to anybody, and that can end my college career. That can end my career before it even gets started because now I'm living as a sex offender. That actually happened to my best friend. That's how I met him, actually. Black man, met him at the University of Minnesota. He was having a sexual relationship with this white girl. They had sex probably about 3 or 4 times, and then he broke it off with her. She got mad, reported him, and then they almost kicked him out of school. He was put on suspension so they could do their investigation. It went to court. His family had to pay $30,000 for the whole court process. And the only thing that saved him was the girl's roommate because she knew that they were hooking up because she would leave the dorm when he came over so they could have sex. So she kind of said, well, I don't think she was raped because once it was done, I would come back. He would still be there. We would be cool. Like there was nothing that indicated that she was being raped. And if that woman, and she was a white girl too, she didn't say nothing. I probably wouldn't be friends with him, and he probably would have been in jail. And this is back in 2006.
Yeah,
this is right before Me Too. Yeah, this is right before Me Too and all that. Right before all that college rape stuff really kicked off in the college campuses, that happened. But I met him because I seen a brother. There ain't a lot of black men on this campus. I seen this dude look like he about to jump off a ledge. He looking sad. I'm like, dude, you all right, man? And that's what kicked off our relationship. He told me what was going on, and I became his friend because I knew he didn't have the mutual support on college campus. And I seen another black man that needed some help. But I've always been that type of person. I've always been one to kind of help other people if I see that they down. But I ain't gonna let this brother just sit on campus like he about to commit suicide or something. So I'm like, dude, you good, bro? I introduced myself, and we've been best friends ever since.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing, and I know Big J wrote in the chat room, he said that he ain't scared of white women. Well, I question your ethnicity, Big J. That's my question. But like I said, Yeah, man, that's the danger of messing with these women. And they know the power they have. That's why they risk it on you, because they want to sit there and engage in their fetish because they look at black men. And you know what's funny? A particular woman did, I'm not sure if it was a stream and talked about this, and she asked about what do these other race women see in black men. And usually they can't really send up for a specific. The only thing they is common is what we could do sexually for them. But anything else about anything good, positive about black men, they don't really it's not there. You know? They don't think we're good fathers. They don't think we're those providers. But the only thing they see us as a sexual object. And I know why most women try to present it to a lot of black men. A lot of black men don't want to hear it, because they've been so conditioned, especially around our communities, of less value. So they feel that another race woman will seek some value. And this is my thing. The only time you have some value to them if you have some. Is either you got that dick, or if you like a baller that got some money. They will, hell, they will give you a white if you play cards right. But in regards to anything serious, no. So when people talk about saying, you know, even this rise of mixture of children from non-black women, is not the quality Caucasoid that these dudes are getting. They're getting the ones that's the bottom dirt, the obese ones. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm serious. Right? I know. You're from Minnesota. You see?
Yeah, I know. This is the interracial dating capital of the world. I know.
Damn, interracial capital of the world. Woo! It's a man's heaven. Say, all these Beckies with this long stringy hair, I can indulge in. I could do anything. She'll do anything on me and keep it a secret. You know what I'm saying? All that porn fantasy that these dudes fantasize, it comes to life if they go in these type of capital cities like Minnesota or anywhere else where it's predominantly most of them. You know? That's just a haven. You get me? And not only that, once they engage and they have their funds with the women, if they play the cards right, they might walk out of it unscathed. And it's surprising that a lot of these obese Caucasoids that's being single mothers to, let's say, some of these brothers that they having sex with, I'm surprised they're not really charging from the ringer. But they really are with child support, if you think about it. And trust me, once the state see that you the one that knocked up and got this child, they're going to take you to the bank. Because these racist women, they don't play.
No.
They don't fucking play. And that's why with a lot of black men, why they can't really, if they get caught up, you're going to pay bulk of your finance to this woman. Hell, and if you're not keeping it up, because most of them either are married, and a lot of black men are married, these Caucasoids, on the average.
Yep.
That means she's going to take everything out of your little pockets with child support. Now, if you married to her and it didn't go well, even worse. And I'm not saying a sister can't do any bad, but it's not going to be too harsh than this Caucasoid is going to do to you. And it's proven historically. Even the celebrities you see that's getting to the bank with these non-black women, it's ridiculous. Brendan. And I said, I don't remember a child that worth money a month time. You know? And usually the average to raise a child in this country is over $250,000. And somebody that got that money, they already secured that within a year, depending on their contract. You know? To sit there and say that you're going to be paying that and paying more over an 18-year, and sometimes there's even go rumor that sometimes child support lasts so long up to 20 years. That's what I'm hearing now. So it's not always 18 years. Maybe it's in a certain state. I could be wrong, but that's what's going on now. You get it?
Yeah.
So if these dudes not marrying these chicks and securing something for their protection, then you put yourself at risk. Hell, you put yourself at risk more messing with them now in this time of era we're living now. You know?
Oh, yeah.
With the Me Too and all this nonsense. And I said, you as black, do you want to risk your finance, your so-called careers messing with this chick? Either if she won or not. And trust me, if she won it, I mean, and this is my thing, Brandon. I'm gonna just lay out for most cats. Notice, most black men don't know the power they really have. If this is the thing they really want is your dick, then you better hoard and finance your junk. So he's not black.
Exactly.
No, I'm keeping it 100. You see the problem with the reputation with us black men is that we giving it freely.
Oh yeah, but we've been conditioned
and think
to do
about
that.
it. If you give something freely, what do you think these women go look? Especially ones that's not black. That means if you're not giving and you're not charging, depending if they know you can put it down good, what are they gonna do? They're going on and find the next Negro to screw. Hell, they probably have them in reserve right now as we on the phone as we speak right now. Got it right on reserve, ready to dial up, ready to say, yo, baby, what are you doing? Can you come to my house and fuck me? You know what I'm saying? What happened to me? He talking about pain. I want. All right, I'll be there. You know what I'm saying? Click. That's how things work. You know how women do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But you have to remember though, this has historical trauma connected to it. Black men, what we know now as black men, the reason why we were brought to this hemisphere and enslaved as Africans was for two purposes: physicality and sexuality. Our physical labor and our sexual what we could do sexually. And that was capitalized on. This nation was built on those two factors. There were more male Africans who were sold into slavery and brought over here to be slaves than there were females. Throughout that whole translated slave trade, it was like that. We were brought here to be physical and sexual. That's where we get things like the Mandingo slaves that were what paraded from plantation to plantation, just like the Milwaukee Bucks or the Minnesota Timberwolves or the LA Lakers, to do what? To fight, to battle, to combat, and impregnate other slave women while they were there. You get the biggest, baddest bucks, and you breed them. And then when the importing of Africans to become slaves was outlawed in 1906, what ended up happening, or was it not 1906? Sorry, I think it's 1806. It was 1806 or 1816. I think it's 1806.
Well, I can remember they started to cut back and cut it off in this country in the end of the 1700s. I would say 1795, 92. I think a good book that might talk about is How to Make a Negro. No, my fault. That's not the book. It's something with. If I remember, I'll tell people. But there was a book that talked about it, but it's in record that they cut back after the Revolutionary War. I think 20 years later, they start cutting back the import of Africans because they're doing a number of a census how many black people were already in here, and they already had enough, maybe had too much. And not only that, a good book that I'm doing right now, and I'm doing a read, and if you're subscribed to my channel, I'm dealing with a book titled American Negro Slave Revolts. And they talk about the period of the African American, or what they call the descendant slaves here, what they did and how they maneuvered, how they deal with slavery during them times, before Jim Crow and all that stuff, while they were slaves. And there are countless records of all the slaves during 16, 17, 1800s that a lot of them were revolting. They were burning down crops, killing the masters that they don't talk about in school. They think it was only during that Turner's Rebellion and the Gullah Geechee Wars that this happened. No, this was going on way early that they don't talk about. In certain cities, certain towns across this country back in slavery. So they had to start cutting back because they had too many Negroes at that time. And they already knew the implications of having too many of them because they were already showing signs of revolting during that time. So to keep importing fresh Africans to the continent of America was suicidal to America, while America was still being in its infant stage during the 1700s, when it became America in 1776. They had to make a decision back then to stop cutting back import because they had too many black people here already. Because when you start importing slaves and you have them breed, you're going to have a huge population of Africans than you.
Right. Yeah. It's the Negro problem. They've always had this curiosity of what do we do with these Negroes? Got to keep their population at this level. What does this mean? If they get to this level, what does this mean for their birth rates? their fascination with us to keep us subjugated has always been a part of what white supremacy is, even to this day. That's why things like the Black Lives Matter movement caused so much ruckus for white folks, is because that was one of those things that shocked us. It's like, oh, these Negroes are making noise now, even though we haven't got the constructive results like we thought we would with something like that. It still caused a disruption in how they predict our abilities, and that movement's been kind of bum rushed and taken over by white folks anyway. It's controlled, so it didn't result in anything, but it was something that caught the general population of white folks off guard. This is what happens. This is what happens when you are in someone else's system. You have to abide by their rules, or you have to overtake it, and we have been conditioned not to overtake it.
And really, not only conditions, but it brings a sense of fear to a lot of Negroes that know this country well and know racism and how things work. And, like I said, fear is a taught behavior that's instilled you the minute you were born in this country. Not only the school system teach you otherwise of the lack of respect of yourself, but your parents also instill the same fear as well. Hell, you see mothers instill fear to their sons about the police.
Right.
And then there's a psychological barrier that you put. And when you do this, and I'm going to keep it real with you, Brandon. And I hear a lot of these dudes and females talking about fighting white supremacy and overcome it, overtake it, wherever you want to label it, right? I look at them dead and I say, you're not dead serious. You're not serious. Because I tell people many times, the fear you have, you're not going to come out of anything, any oppressed system, whether they had weapons or not. Because they know they train you well. They bred you to be what they want to be. The only thing now is they monitor how deep your control is mentally. Look at Facebook. Look at social media today, Brendan. When they do a certain trauma test on our people, what's the first thing our people do? They resort to what? Social media. And then they express what? Their thoughts, their feelings. Right there, they already know where your mind's at. Every time. When you type down how you feel it and all that stuff, they want to see how much you're still a slave mentally. Not physically, mentally. Yeah. It's the best test to see where a race of people's mindset is at. Screw everything else. They don't care about your political affiliations, what your views. They want to say how far you still fear and want to continue the structure for your oppression. Hell, I even hear some Pan-Africans, people that are African, that say they're this and that. And you've been around too, Brandon. How they tell us that they want to take out the cracker. Or even go somewhere else to Africa and then hope, to nest over there, and that these people will greet them. And it's funny too with Africa, and I don't really talk much about it because I love our people anywhere they are across the globe. But I tell you, the Africans were involved helping the European and the Arabs, because the Arabs were the first to slave us, and the Europeans came second, to take a good portion of our ancestors over here. And they have not really made a conscious decision to say that the only thing they made conscious to told most people in America, specifically Ghana, on how to say, we forgive, if you could forgive us that we took part in your oppression where we gave you up to the oppressor, but not entitled most people that were African citizens here in America say, if any time you want to come out, you can come home without no charge and you have to go back. We'll have something somewhat in place, or we'll make it easy for your transition without you worrying about going back. You don't hear these discussions in Africa.
Yeah.
And the reason why you're never going to hear that is because they're still getting money from the West.
Right.
And not only that, but they don't want a whole bunch of 50 million strong American descendants of slaves back home. America doesn't want.
It's a whole other culture now.
They're trained Negroes back home. They always talk about go back to Africa. I see you're not damn well serious. If you want the Negroes back after you were sent back after Civil War, easy.
Right.
Regardless if they will fight you fight. Let me tell you something. If you're able to snatch somebody from their home with the help of somebody else, you can easily send them back physically.
Right.
That's not hard. You get me, Brendan? But we're not
Yes,
making
I do.
somebody up because they need you. You're not going nowhere.
No, yeah.
And even if some people could go, but it's going to be a minimum, a small percentage. They're not concerned about it. They're concerned if every black person in America, 45 to 50 million strong, wherever the numbers they say, or they want to tell us how much black people that's sent in this country, they don't want all black people to go back. Even when Mark Scarry came in, you read stories in his doctrines too, I believe, right? How he said he wants every black African American or that's here to go back, but he said only a few are going to go back. Not everyone is going to go back. You get me?
Yeah.
Because, a good portion of us are not going to really go back willingly. And not only that, but the mindset that we are conditioned here won't benefit the content like that.
No.
Yeah, matter of fact, you think about the rumor of Liberia, how Liberia was built was by Negroes, too. Went over there and helped kill off some of the people over there to establish Liberia. And those are bourgeoisies.
Yeah.
But they didn't talk about that. So, yeah.
Yeah.
You get my point.
Yeah, I absolutely. And, it's tough because I understand why the sentiment is there that we need to go back to Africa. But what are we going back to when we don't even know where we came from in general? One thing we have to be honest about as black people here in the United States, whether you want to consider us ADOS or whatever we want to term ourselves, is that we are GMO Negroes. We are a created ethnicity. Like, we've been breeded and blended with so many different groups. This is where we are from. This is our culture, unfortunately, is what we have. And trying to go back to a different culture, to me, I get the sentiment of it, but we don't know where we're going back to. The continent of Africa is so damn big. Where are we going to go? That is a whole different culture over there. Most black folks, if let's just say white supremacy say, all right, we're done with these Negroes here in the United States. We're going to rally them all up, and we're going to send them back to the continent. Many of us will lose our damn minds because many of us haven't traveled outside the country, one, at all. Two, we have American diets. Three, we have standards that in Africa that the standards aren't there. The internet ain't going to be the same. You ain't going to just hop on YouTube and Facebook like you do here because the internet's different in Africa. You're going to lose their damn mind just for that. Right? The education system is different. The food is different. People, like we need to be honest about this. We're talking about going back to Africa. What's the plan? And who says that Africa is going to receive us the way that we think so? That's a European concept in itself, to be honest with you, that's covered in pro-blackness. So we just going to go somewhere. Like, they're just going to accept us. We are just as foreign to them as people are to us. They're not just, who says that Africans is going to welcome us with open arms?
Think about it. And mind you, I love our people anywhere we're at in the world, whether we're in the Caribbean islands, South America, and also Africa. And I think I've been around people that's on the continent, and they're friendly and nice to me. You get me? I have no issue with it. But the problem we got to understand the bigger picture is you're going back to an environment that already exited you centuries ago, and if you come back, you're going to be even segregated from the regular indigenous population of people in Africa, certain parts of Africa.
Correct.
They already have in certain areas right now in Africa where there's sections of Americans that went back to the continent repatriate. They're not really in like the same areas where the Africans are. They have a different area of themselves. They had to create. You get me? And another thing, and I'm going to take this call because somebody raised their hand.
Okay.
Is that a good portion of people in Africa, they want to keep it honest. They'll like you when you have something, bring something to them. But if you don't have nothing to bring to them or carry something,
correct,
they're not going to have the same welcome arms. You get my whiff?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
but
really,
again,
go ahead. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
That's but that mentality is very European. Because we're just going to go somewhere and expect people to accept us for who we are with nothing. right? Like there's no guarantee that that's acceptable. If you're gonna go, if I invited you to my house, I don't expect you to dictate how my house is gonna be run. I expect you as a guest to follow suit to figure out, okay, does Brandon want me to take my shoes off? Do we take shoes off here? Should I, where do I sit? Are we gonna hang out in the dining room or the living room? Like there's assumptions that are made or communications that are made for how to interact into someone else's domain. We cannot just go into a country in Africa and just assume that we're going to pick up where we left off here and be like, that's there. That's a joke. That's crazy. But anyway. You can,
all right, let me see who raised their hand. The call number for tonight's show is 712-770-4160. The access code is 915-41#. I repeat, 712-770-4160. The access code 915-411#. Tonight's subject, Chaos Reign presents mental illness or racial battle fatigue with my guest, Brandon Jones. The first caller open in. Hello? Caller, open your line. Oh.
What's up, guy? Oh, I'm the first caller. Nobody else calling in? How y'all doing tonight? This is my name is All Facts. How you doing?
I'm good.
Fine. It's good to hear your story. What's up, guy? How you doing?
I'm good.
What's up? Yeah, Gary, I don't know why you sound like that. I'm not here to, troll your show or anything like that.
I'm good, man. But go ahead.
Okay.
What you have tonight, All Facts?
Well, I got a comment, then I'm going to ask him a psychological question because this is ironic that you're having someone who deals with mental illness because I've been getting people online about the mental illness when it comes to being irrational. I'm just learning recently what irrational is, and it made me examine my whole life and saying, do I have some irrational things, some animalistic things that I need to do? Because I may be doing things that's going to hinder my goal. But let me ask you a couple. I think listening to you, I know we have a mental disorder in this country as Black African Americans. I'm not talking about dividing, but having an identity crisis. We do have an identity crisis over here. Because we as in the Black community, as a pool, I'm not talking any specific person, but as a pool, we're divided. Some people say we should call each other the N-word. Some people say Black people don't call each other the N-word. So that's an identity crisis within the pool right there. Some people say you should wear your pants like this. Some people say you should wear this. Some people say you should talk like this. Never use your cultural slang around your people. You know what I'm saying? Never be able to switch your slang up in different environments, but you always have to, be the same person, Black person, and speak the Queen's language in any type of atmosphere, which I think is unrealistic. And I think sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves because, like you said, white people are more relaxed.
Right.
I hear a lot of white people, they use profanity, and, people but when we use profanity, it's like, oh, he's ignorant and he does this. But you got to realize they may be looking at us and saying, y'all guys are too hard on yourself. I mean, we do, believe it or not, Blacks, we do the same things that you guys do, but we just do ours behind closed doors. You know what I'm saying? I just think we have an identity crisis. So I just want to ask, because I just want to ask you, do you think that we have an identity crisis? And can you tell us some more ways that, we maybe can improve that? Or how can we identify that if we have an identity crisis as Black African Americans in this country? And then I have one more comment, and I'm going to ask you a question.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so I would agree with what you said. I think you kind of answered your question. Absolutely, we have identity crisis. We have been labeled so many different things, and we label ourselves so many different things, we can't even agree on what to call ourselves, even though we don't even have the societal power to define who we are in the first place. White people determine who we are. We were Negroes. We were slaves. Then we were Negroes. Then we were African Americans, and then we were people of color. And now here we are. We're talking about ADOS and foundational Blacks, and we just keep trying to reinvent ourselves because we can't just be comfortable with just being Black, right? We want to be Hebrew Israelites. We want to be all these different things. When at the end of the day, we are Black. That's why I just use the term Black, because that's what we are. We have socially been defined in the Black box. We need to not be so concerned with how we identify ourselves and be more concerned with how we conduct ourselves collectively, because that's what's going to determine how people respond to us. You can call me whatever, but I have to have my own morals and values intact and my own purpose intact, because you're going to respond to me based on what I do, not what I call them.
Well, yeah. Well,
right.
I'm sorry. Well,
no,
yeah, I'm just having a dialogue. I'm not trying to disagree. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and that's how you should set in your mind. But in the real world, we had to say that this racial society that we was growing up on, if a white person calls me a nigger on the job, he's going to get fired. I'm not going to say, well, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm not a nigger, so I'm not going to. No, I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to provoke me. He knows his. Well, if he doesn't know his history, society did him a bad job as a white person to let him know, you know what, don't call a black person a nigger in their face, because you're going to have some hostility. I think cultural wise, and knowing the history of your country, you just wouldn't be. I mean, you'd be crazy to call somebody like that and expect a black person to not get upset, because during our history, right. So right. And another thing, this is one other thing I have to ask you. I was talking about irrationality, right? And I'm gonna give you your opinion as someone who deals with mental illness. I'm gonna give you a scenario and see if I'm right. Let's say it's my goal, right? I come up from a low income, single mother family. We low income. We get stamps and things of that nature. We're living in the projects, and she's telling me, you know what, go to school, get a good education, get away from these Negroes in this environment that you in. She's a mother. She is encouraging her son to do better things. She makes sure he goes to school on time. She goes to the basketball games and all that. She supports her son. But his goal is saying, you know what, my friends are bullying me. You know what I'm saying? I don't like these quote-unquote Negroes because they're killing each other, and I'm going to go to college, and I'm going to try to get away and so I can live in a better area so I can have some peace in my life. Living in this area is just not giving me peace. There's death all around me and everything all around me, right? So I grow up, right? I get my education, and then I finally get away from those income areas. I even bring my mother in, and we all live in the county. It's nice, peace and quiet. We're in our mixed neighborhoods. We got white neighbors. Everything is nice and quiet. So I've achieved my goal. So now I said I had peace. But then I get into my living room, right? And this is where it goes at. I get into my living room. I come on YouTube, and I seek to see, or I click on videos where I think the image or the visual or the vision of a nigga, and I click on them, and I turn my volume up on my computer so I can see or hear or see and hear the people that I got away from. Then once I hear them, then I get all upset. And then I start making videos, and then I start cussing them out, and I'm in my living room, and I'm not around them, and I'm acting as though that I'm back in the hood as I was when I was a little kid, getting frustrated, yelling at them. Do you think I'm an irrational person at that point? Because right now, my goal is to be at peace. And the way to be at peace is not to be around that type of attitude. But then I intentionally go seeking out and trying to get, all out of order, not at peace, back and forth with Negroes that I got away from on the internet, and it ruins my day, and I'm screaming, I'm yelling, and saying all this. Do you think I'm actually a rational person at that point, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. Absolutely, you're irrational. Because one, what is your intent? Not saying you, but the person who would do this.
Right.
I'm
just giving a scenario. Right. We're not just talking right in general. Right.
So what is the intent in doing that? So one, it's irrational because it doesn't make any logical sense why one would do that. Two, it also might be some insecurities or some guilt that individual may have because they feel like that they have left this group, and then they look at the group and says, well, why couldn't y'all do the same thing? What's wrong with you Negroes? Look at me. I'm in the suburbs. I brought my mama out of the hood, and look at y'all just terrorizing each other, just doing all this awful stuff, right? So that's one. There can be guilt. right? That could be guilt. That could be looking down on others. But again, there's some insecurities there with this individual where they feel the need to hop on YouTube in their living room and downplay other people because the other folks did not make the same life choices that this person has made. That doesn't make you better than them, but that just means you figured out a different way to get out of that stressful, toxic stress environment and move on to something different. But again, it is because you live in the suburbs don't mean that your life is any better. It might be just be a different type of stress that's a little bit more tolerable for you than living in the hood. And that's something that, chill, even myself, I've had to deal with. Because I've done it.
Exactly, brother. Amen. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
oh my goodness, this is like, this is the early, and I'm not a Christian, but I just got to use this. This is the early Christmas present for me. My goodness, I knew I was right. Because, listen, and like you said, brother, you know this, you stand, and this is one thing we all say, you say you even had to work on yourself. That means that you're not perfect, but if you're on this platform, you got people, you got some irrational people, and I'm saying the same. Irrational means that you want to achieve a goal, but you actually do opposite things to prevent you from achieving that goal. That's irrational, and that's also hypocrisy is irrational. And I want to say this, and my studies, because I'm not trying to, steal your win. But animals are irrational. One thing that separates us from animals that we're rational and we're irrational. So if you think about it, if you don't identify your irrationality, you're almost primitive. And I'm saying, I'm talking about the people who I'm not talking about the people with less education, the low income, because they don't know no better. I'm talking about the people who do know better, the ones who have the education. They don't realize that their tactics are irrational. Yeah, but now this is my other thing, and this will get a little sticky here. And I heard your story, and I appreciate you sharing your story. I think you said you came up with a single mother, and you had to cook at a certain age, and I applaud you for that. And I know that's a lot of pressures on you. But I think one positive thing of that is that when you did grow up, you're able to juggle a type of thing. Even though that was a stressor for a little kid, you can't say that, dealing with that could be a benefit in some way, because everything is not always negative. Sometimes you got to find a positive in something that looks negative, right?
Correct.
But we have a big debate over YouTube whether a single mother or a single parent, right? Whether it's a father raising a daughter or whether it's a mother raising a son, that they cannot do that. For instance, a single mother cannot raise a boy to a man. She has to have a man in its life. Now, I'm just looking for, because I'm looking at the situation now. We got 70%, the 70% single moms, right? So I'm looking at the problem now. I cannot make her or that man go back to that woman and living in the same house. That's like a realistic. That's like us going back to Africa. So I can't make it. So when we have this right now, people are saying that, these single mothers don't have no help. You can't raise it, and I'm giving a situation where she doesn't have anybody. The father's dead. She came with a single mother, so she don't have any family. Let's say she come with a family with all girls and she just got this son. People are saying that she cannot raise that boy into a man. My question to you, and then I'm going to have another comment there. My question to you is, why people are saying that, right? Why is they saying that she can't raise that boy into a man? And what makes a boy into the man? What attributes that society or anybody on YouTube is saying that boy must have in him first before he becomes a man? That's my question to you. Now, if the question is a little bit confusing, just ask me to elaborate.
All right, I think I got you. You let me know if I'm going down the right path or not.
Okay, brother.
So yeah, thank you. So, for me, you're right. I'll start here. You're right. It's not all doom and gloom, and I hope it didn't sound like that when I told my story. There are positive traits that came out of me learning how to take care of my little brothers and myself because my mom had to work several different jobs and things like that, she wasn't always available. And I learned how to be responsible. I learned how to take care of myself if I ever needed to. I learned how to hustle and make money if I needed to. And all those skills that I learned as a young child, which was a lot of pressure on me, I was able to transfer over as I became an adult, which I believe helped me get to where I'm at. But the important part of this is I did need male influence because I was frustrated and confused and probably depressed because I didn't know how to be a man. I wasn't confident in my own masculine identity. I was not able to deal with the world around me from a masculine standpoint. So when you ask the question, what are some of those attributes that men need? Men need to be able to have a firm ideal on what their vision is. I was not that kid 100%. I was always looking for opportunity, but I never had a vision. I never had a goal. I wasn't reaching for anything. For me, I think a healthy man does that. Men need to have a vision, and with that vision, men need to have standards that are respectful and constructive to get there, which a lot of our men don't have. They don't have those standards that are respectful and constructive to get there. So we just see men, young black males, just doing reckless behaviors and reckless things all the time because they don't have an end goal, right?
Right.
So we talk about, we talk about the traditional factors of what this stereotypical man is supposed to be to protect, provide, and produce. But when you don't see that as a child, you don't see other black men protecting, providing, or producing anything constructive, you just get lost in the wilderness and you start doing things that are unhealthy. So that's the attributes I looked at. How can I protect, provide, and produce in a constructive way and maintain something that is connected to my long-term goal? Now, for me, I have several different purposes and goals. When I became a father, that was one of them. Before I was a father, my goal was to figure out a way to build a foundation to have a family because I was chasing something that I did not have. I was chasing, how do I have a wife and have kids and have a family so we can have those holiday photos, so we can have these things that I did not have. Because I had a mom who had to work 2 jobs, and I was like, that's not – I seen the stresses that my mom had. I seen the frustration and the struggles she had, but she did the best that she could with what she had. And my goal was not to let that happen to my family or to myself where I'm overworking myself to the point where my family doesn't connect with me. Because to be honest with you, even though I don't have any relationship with my biological father or my stepdad, my relationship with my mom is on a peer level. It's not the traditional mother-child relationship or mother-son relationship. Me and my mom function like partners. And it's been like that since I was 13 years – actually, before that, really, since I was about 13 years old. We were co-parenting my brothers and sisters, or my brothers. Right. We were co-parenting. And that peer level thing has been there the whole time. So in my growth as a man, I have lost the ability to even have a child relationship with my mom because I had to function like an adult. So that's why it's important to have healthy males, because I didn't have healthy male relationships either, to the point where I didn't even trust black men until I was about 25 years old. That's not that long ago.
Right.
If I needed to get something done, I knew I needed to find a female because they were going to get me in the door. They were going to lay out a plan. They were going to make something happen. I felt more comfortable dealing with women than with other men, even to this day. Deontay Wilder, even to this day, right now, I know if I wanted to throw a community event, let's say I want to throw a healing event a month from now, right before Christmas, I want to throw a Kwanzaa healing event. I can call 4 brothers right now, try to set it up. The chances are it'll be less likely to get done. I can call 2 sisters. I bet you that event will get handled. You know why? Because the brothers that I worked with, we all got what? We all got male egos. What's in it for me? But we haven't been conditioned on how to work effectively together that doesn't involve us having sex with women.
Right.
But think about that. Think about sports teams and fraternities. Both of those things have a drive to what? Get women.
Right.
So in high school, if I can get a Letterman's jacket, I can get a girl. In college, if I can get one of these red and white canes and dance with this group, we're going to get girls.
Right.
I mean, there's lessons in those things, though. You know, sports have teach me a lot about leadership and things like that. But the end goal was just what? Status, to get women. But this is how we've been conditioned as black males, to always focus on pussy and not productivity.
Right.
But does that help answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I got to take the next call. Before I raise the next hand, thank you, Alphax. What you just said, Brandon, is the biggest issue that we face now in the 21st century as black men. We had to make a decision, that are we going to seek to better ourselves and attain what is the hardest to attain as power, or are we going to just constantly be on this hamster wheel where we just constantly chasing tail that doesn't include no power. And you laid out perfectly because, and the funny thing being around the mother for a long stretch of time, this is what it breeds. This is what conditions a good portion of our male boys that become adults. They have a disdain trust for the other males because they've not been groomed into this. No example, nothing like that. So when you get to a certain age, you're not going to see me or try to look for other brothers to get something done because you already conditioned to say that if your father wasn't around and your mom had to do it all by herself and she has shown proof, so you have to look independent on a woman to get things done. You get me? We as men, we have to change that if we want to really survive in the coming years to come, not only here but just globally. And I can't speak for other black men outside of America. They function probably different than us, but really truly it's the same game. When the man doesn't really, cause it goes back again. What's the weakness to the African male? Organization. How are you gonna have organization? You have to trust what? Each other. Right. And the only time if you're gonna come be organized just to get pussy, you got problems. Other race men don't operate like this. They condition a good portion of the black males because they're bred to be bucks. And what bucks' purpose and role? To screw pussy. To breed pussy. So,
physicality, sexuality. Yeah.
There you go. So let me open this next line. All right, hello, caller. Open your line.
What's going on, man?
I'm good.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I really don't have much to say. I mean, the brother's just giving his story and experiences. So, I guess, you've been through ups and downs in life and, being a productive human being at in this time is a good thing, bro. So sometimes, we go through our things and it makes us a better person. So I would say that with your experiences, right, you see things a little bit clearer. I think a lot of people, a lot of youngins, when they were young, and even this day and age, take a lot of these public figures, specifically in entertainment music, as somebody that they use as a role model. But I'll say that it is a good and bad thing. There's some good things that come out of that too. I think it's all about aspect and what angles you're taking or utilizing from what you're getting from those artists. There's a lot of good qualities that in some of those people that you've mentioned. You know what I'm saying? But then they have the negative aspect to it too. So I think whatever works, I would definitely not recommend, looking up to artists in a sense of like putting all your hope and everything into that one artist or artists in general, because you might be disappointed down the line, and also got to realize that they're a human being too. They're going to have issues and might not be the same issues you have. So, I mean, you take the good with the bad, utilize what you can do with the good, and throw out the bad. So, hey, respect to you, brother, man. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you're doing, in a positive light. So.
Yeah, thank you, and I appreciate your comment. You're right, man. We can't stop this machine of being influenced by these public figures. Like, this is something that just it's gonna be there. But if we can help our young folks, and hell, some of our adults too, to see the good and the bad and make a better constructive decision for themselves, then it's fine. I still listen to music. People wouldn't believe some of the stuff that I listen to, but I understand the difference between emulating that and using that as entertainment and enjoyment. Like, you don't have to be who the person that you are listening to. However, when you don't have role models in your life, when you don't see constructive behaviors from other people around you, you just subscribe to what's in front of you. Because this is acceptable. This is what success looks like. Because they got money, they got girls, they got cars, they got these things, but it's all for show and entertainment. But you don't know that if you don't have your mindset right. No one's telling you or teaching you that. It's just entertainment. It's not reality. You don't know no different.
I agree.
Everything on Instagram ain't real.
Yeah, and I tell you that you know, at the same time that, you know, artists have not to say that they haven't made it, but the industry hasn't made it easier with the confusion of, you know, what's real and what's not, even though, you know, again, that would be, I guess, parents' responsibility to kind of differentiate and teach the children and kind of, prepare them for what they're going to see or hear. And that's why I guess they have those parental advisory labels. You know, parental advisory, you know, you need parental advisory because they're explicit lyrics or you know, graphic video material. And I think that if it's explained, you know, properly, you know, you can better intake that information and know how to deal with it, you know, once you get in the information in your brain. So I definitely, you know, again, everything has its good and bad, but if you could utilize whatever good things out of it and it worked for you, that's a good thing.
Right. Yep.
All right. Let me take the next caller. Mega J. All right, caller. Open line. Who's this? Caller? Hello? All right, I guess you're listening. Another thing, I'm gonna deal with the solutions part in a second, but one thing.
Oh, Guy, hello. Yeah. Guy, this is me. I had my phone on mute. This is me. I wanted to ask him another question, and then I'm done. Or if you have another caller, I have my phone on mute.
All right, you can ask your question. Go ahead, ask your question.
Well, yeah. Well. First of all, I understand, and I appreciate. Like I said, I appreciate your story.
Sure.
But I always look at the positive of things in your story, because I had to look at the end result now. Because, you know what I mean, the sum of all of our past made we who we are now. So that's why people say, well, you know what, if you're in a good place now, no matter what the past was, you can't regret the past because it made you who you are now. Whether it, you know, but right. But I say that to say this. At the end of the day, when we get older, our parents are going to be, even though they're biological, our parents, they become our friends. Because we may have to take care of them. You know what I'm saying? If my parent is 60 years old and I'm 40, I'm not a baby anymore, I can come and I can talk to my mother about things that I didn't when I was younger. So having that communication, people, I think this is a topic. Well, you don't want to be a friend to your child or child, you know, be a friend. No, I think it should be a combination of both. That friendship being able, I can talk to my mom just as though I talk to my children. I mean, my kids. Not saying, you know, I mean, you should be open with your mom and dad. If you have that sharing, and I'm not saying that your parents can't discipline you, they can't be the authority, but as far as the friendship is that, you know, mom or dad, I got a problem. I'm gonna come and talk to you before my friends, because I'm not scared if I come to you, I'm going to get a chastisement. I'm not going to get beat. I'm not going to get a butt whipping. You see what I'm saying? So I think sometimes, so, you know, we worry that. But I'm going to say this, because I want to get straight to the point. I think it's bad in our community, and we shedding this in. You definitely have to have a father in your life in order for you to become a man, because that's not measurable, right? Excluding physical attributes, between the differences between a man and a woman, excluding the estrogen, excluding the testosterone, this is a social construct, right? So I already said men can be football players and we can live happily, so I'm setting that to the side. Now, if I'm trying to find a woman or a mate for myself, that's fine-tuning, because you want to stay with that person for the long time. So you want to fine-tune your attitude, what you dislike, and what she dislikes, and you want to even that out, right? But if I expect for me to be a provider as a man for my family, I want her to be a provider for the family in her own special way. Okay? If I want her to be if I want her to be a protector for the family in her own special way, I'm also a protector. Basically what I'm saying is the subjective things, the attributes between a man and a woman and to become a productive citizen in the society, there is no difference. There is none. Integrity, that's gender neutral. Being a provider of your family, gender neutral. Going to work on time, gender neutral. Paying your bills on time, gender neutral. You see what I'm saying? I think, and I think anybody excluding that, I think your mother and other mothers around, especially the football players that I'm seeing on TV right now, if someone says that their mother didn't raise them, their single mother didn't raise to the man, they probably beat me up. If I tell them that in their face, they're like, oh, what are you talking about? So sometimes when we get into saying women are more emotional, men really don't have emotion, that's a lie. We all have 4 emotions. Once again, that's not a physical thing. That's a subjective thing. We have fear, we have sadness, we have happiness, and we have anger. Now, we may express those feelings in a different way when it comes to men and women, but we all have them, just like the attributes. Because the only thing that really sets a man from a woman is the physical structure, and then that's why we can procreate, because we have different body parts, and physically we do stuff in different on a reproductive level and things of that nature. But I'm talking about someone being a productive citizen of society. I think that's gender neutral to raise that. Now, people would, and I'm done after this because I know I'm talking, I'm blabbering. People would say, they'll come back to me when I say this, brother, they'll say, well, a man can teach his daughter about her period. I would come back and say, you're right, that man can never understand and feel those cramps, right? And let's say this guy, he don't have no women, I'm just giving the extreme case, right? So they're saying he has to be around a woman, there ain't no women around, right? But that guy, right, we all learn a man should know a woman's menstrual cycle at least once a month. A man may know that women gets moody and crappy because we always use jokes that, hey, she's on a period this month. That means she's moody. A man knows, guess what? When I was married, one time I went to go get those tampons because she was really feeling bad. I'm snitching on, I'm being open. And I felt awkward in doing that, but one time I had to do that. Some of these men that are listening now, come on now, have you had a situation where you had to do that shit? I did it for my wife because I didn't think like, oh, no, I'm not going to go get no maxi pads for my man. My wife was paying, and she was having cramps and things of that nature. And you know what I'm saying? I'm going to go get that. And, yes, when I went to the cashier, I felt a little, ooh, who's looking at me now? Or do they think this back in the 90s, so people wasn't even thinking like that. So I'm just saying that's where I'm coming from, because the only thing I'm saying is I say that the single parent problem, I think women can, but they're not, and they need some help from men or some advice. But when we make the blanket statement that they can't, you can't measure that. So what are your thoughts about that? I'm done for the night. I'm going to sit back into the overtime. So, but I appreciate you for coming on, sharing your story, being open up, like most people can on the internet. And and man, your mother raised a boy into a man, bro. And I appreciate it, but I'm going to fall back, bro. Thank you. And can you leave your Facebook or email account and stuff before you leave the show?
No, don't worry.
Okay, I got you. All right, then I'm going to sit back and listen, bro. Thank you. Thank you, bro. All right.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. All right, let me check the board.
You want me to respond while you're checking the board?
Yeah. No, go respond before I check the board. Go ahead.
All right, cool. Yeah, he said a lot, so I was trying to make sure I was gathering his points as I go. And I hope people don't get the understanding that I was saying that a woman can't raise a man or anything like that. I think that there's qualities that can come from both parents, but where we are today, I think it's more important for us to just have healthy male and female models that we know, people that we know in the community, more or less healthy families. Right now, the way that I see family structures and family dynamics going is we need to be in a blended family setting. We don't have the finances to have this nuclear mom and dad and 4 kids, 3 kids in the household. We need to be thinking about a more blended family model for us to survive like we had prior to integration taking place, where grandma and auntie and uncle and mom and dad, everybody kind of lived close and we all share resources. That might be the way that we need to go moving forward. And I think that would be another positive way for us to have better development with our males and our females. I think there are things that men can teach young girls and young boys. I think that there's things that women can teach young girls and young boys. But at the same time, you need to have both influences in your life. That's what's important. My mom did the best that she could with what she had, and she always put us in positions to be men, but we didn't have a foundation for what that was supposed to be. So as I got older into my adolescence and then into my young adulthood, I was still seeking what black manhood was supposed to be. And fortunate for me, I grew up in a time just when the internet came around, so I could put into Google certain things and learn about things. But there was important things like, the autobiography of Malcolm X that were vital for me, because reading that book helped me understand a different perspective on what my purpose is supposed to be as a man, even knowing it wasn't complete, right? So I learned that there's a journey in it, there's growth in it. It's just like Malcolm ended up having a growth to get to a certain point, but we didn't get to see the end result due to him being killed off. And I understood that that's what manhood is about. That's what development is about, is going through these trials, tribulations, and reinventing yourself and getting yourself to a place where you are whole as an individual. Unfortunately, a lot of black people don't get that opportunity. We stay stuck in environments and situations that don't help us grow into who we are destined to be.
Indeed.
Indeed.
And let me just double check. Well, the call number for tonight's show is 712-770-4160. The access code 915-411#. I repeat, 712-770-4160. Access code 915-411#. Tonight's subject, Chaos Reign presents mental illness or racial battles, fatigues with Brandon Jones. One thing, Brandon, with this mental illness that we still suffer as race people, you feel, actually, to be honest with you, do you think it's our responsibility as people to correct the mental illness that was done by us centuries through enslavement, or is the role of the people that caused the problem to correct our mental illness, to be honest?
Yeah. I think it's on us to, quote-unquote, correct it. Honestly, I don't think we can correct it. I think this thing has been in motion so long, we can't change what happened. But what we can have dictate and change is the future. So part of our growth has to be accepting what has actually taken place and happened and not deny it. That's part of the growth process, is actually accepting what's taking place. So, we can't change what happened. I don't expect white folks to fix anything for us, because I understand their paradigm, and their paradigm is not to assist us with anything that does not benefit them. And that means changing their system, and changing their system, unless it benefits them, they're not going to do. So healing is not going to take place in their hands. If it was, it would have already happened. And anytime you see black folks trying to get anything together, we always have some disruptors that come in to disrupt, to just do what they do, disrupt things, and make sure that there's no movement. So I don't trust white folks to help us heal from the mental illness or the mental or emotional stress that we've been under. That's not their role of responsibility. That's on us as a community, because ain't nobody going to do it like us anyway. Why would we allow somebody else to, quote-unquote, fix it? There's no benefit there. And they operate from a very objective standpoint, so they treat us like objects. Why would they want to reinvest into something that's already working for them? They benefit from our dysfunction. So keeping us dysfunction, why would they want to heal that? Doesn't make any sense at this moment.
This is right. This is true. And I've come somewhat, well, I really conclude, but I'm thinking for us to move forward, that it's going to take us as responsible for our own people, but really as a collective, wherever we don't look or view ourselves as a collective, to really fix or try to correct this mental spell we're under in regards to how we view each other, see each other. and how we view ourselves, because one thing is evident with self-hatred. This is something that only it's going to take not only mental therapy, but to really look at ourselves in the mirror, that what do we hate the most when we look in that mirror as a person, man and woman? Because we do hate something, you know. Is it the nose, the lips? Is it the skin? Or is it all the above? We have to be honest what we really hate first before we could go into what we really like, because hate and love, and there was a book, a PDF, and I'm going to share it to you and have you read for yourself to get acquainted. There's a PDF called Divine Love, Law, and Divine Hate. It was written by a great brother here in America. I think he's originally from Chicago. He wrote the energy, the flows, and the deities, and the difference between the 3 L's, that they all one and the same. And once you have a full understanding of it, then the process of understanding the love of self starts to slowly begins. But you have to understand what are the roots of it, why all 3 are related: love, law, and it's really one and the same. And hate plays a part in that. And people understand that people think when hate is good or bad, it's actually good, but it's you divert in the wrong reasons.
Correct.
Without the hate, you would actually, without hate, you would sit there, lead yourself into a quicker suicide. You will lead yourself into danger. Hate is like that barrier that makes you step back and think if you want to proceed. Or you proceed, or you want to do something just to eradicate that hate, because it takes an action. You get me? So I had to share personally, let you get a feel of it. But really, truly, only way it's gonna be fixed is we have to really make the initiative. I'm not sure of any facilities that if most men or women we come together, especially men, to start creating these, centers to really start, let people go and vent and air out and come with tangible solutions for their mental illness that they still suffer in their own household, not just slavery, but in their households, because there's a lot of trauma going in these households, especially, and I don't know if I talked about this earlier with you, in regards to homosexuality, how a lot of people either they have a problem with it or, whether they want to keep it still a taboo in the community. It is somewhat a problem, but it's much more a great problem now because it's pushed to a point where we accept it as normal behavior, where they want everybody to think this is a way to go, and people not really using their common sense and think they say, how is something was so bad and something that we don't really look at or we get praise in the community for decades, now we accept? We don't understand the implications that how programming really works.
Absolutely.
And that program is not something that you just watch on TV. This is all avenues. It's already in you already, and all they do is they present it to a way where you accept it as norm. You get me? Because if you think about Brendan, there was always amongst our communities during and after slavery, we had some people that had been sexually abused, and eventually they turned into the homosexual, right? But, they kept themselves in the closet. You get me? Because they didn't want to be shown through this community. But now, like any weapon, they said, and we all know people that create these weapons. And I remember because you're a therapist, so you got hold of the DSM book, even the recent one.
Yes.
Yeah.
DSM-5.
And actually, to be honest with you, I have some of the older PDFs of the original DSM. It's not really too old. Usually I thought with psychology, because psychology's been around since the 1800s, you think they had an institution during that time, but I find it didn't come around till the 50s.
Right, correct.
So this practice that's been going on, and really was really done in regards to how to control people, how people think and operate. And who was the first people that they experimented most during the time? Us.
Correct. Us and extremely poor white folks.
Yeah.
or people who are already what they used to call criminally insane at the time. So they knew stuff was wrong with them, and they would put them into asylums. And this started out even back in Europe. They would create these asylums and lock folks up due to their mental illness. And one thing I want to make clear to the audience, that there is a difference between mental illness, mental health / emotional health. There is a difference between that, since you brought up the DSM. Because I don't think that most black people are, quote unquote, mentally ill. I think we have mental illness. I think we have emotional illness and emotional health issues. And I say that because I was trained for the DSM-4 and I got trained in DSM-5. So when I was going through school, it was right at the turn of them going to the new book, so they taught us both versions. And then the DSM-4, and for folks who are familiar with the DSM, is the I better get this right.
Diagnostics.
The diagnostic and statistical manual for mental health. And what that is just the book that has all the criteria and all the symptomology for all these mental health categories. It's literally the Bible for the mental health world. And they review this book almost every decade. They do kind of a revision at this point. So they just came out with the DSM-5, I believe it was 2014 when it was released. But I bring that up to say this. In the DSM-4, they used to train mental health professionals to there's two axes, Axis 1 and Axis 2 for mental health diagnosis. Axis 1 would carry things like generalized anxiety disorder, adjustment disorders, major depression, some trauma and stress-related disorders as well. So these are things that are very common. They happen, but they can be treated through talk therapy or other methods. Axis 2 was what we call serious pristine mental illnesses, also known as SPMI. And this is what mental illness really is. This is people who have dissociative disorder, bipolar disorder, antisocial personality disorder, schizophrenia. These are folks who start to disconnect from actual reality, and we start to see their mental illness at work. Like, these are folks who unfortunately end up homeless, end up in group home situations, end up on all different types of psychiatric medication because their level of mental health is way beyond someone who's just depressed. And people can have multiple diagnoses as well at the same time. But from my own clinical experience, the black folks that I work with have fallen more in the Axis 1 category than the Axis 2. So I don't believe that black folks.
Really?
Yes.
Amazing.
And a lot of black folks that I've worked with, and I've been doing this for several years now. I can't count how many clients that I've had, but it's definitely in the mid-hundreds for sure. The clients that I've had, many of them have had like what we call adjustment disorders, which means you have enough symptoms that point me in this direction, but you don't have enough of the criteria to fit for this diagnosis, whether that's anxiety disorder or depression or whatever. And a lot of black folks,
including ADHD.
Society, no, ADHD is an Axis 1. And we can talk about that here in a moment, too. I can get in on ADHD in a moment.
Okay, sorry. Continue. That's fine.
No, I'll get on that. But for Axis 1 diagnosis, for black people, when unfortunately, due to the society that we live in, one of our geniuses of being black has been adjusting to trauma. We have built our whole culture around adjusting to the traumatic, white supremacist world that we live in. So the things that upset other ethnic groups, the things that send other ethnic groups into deep mental illness, if we want to say it that way, doesn't necessarily affect us because our culture is built to be resilient around it. Now, unfortunately, the way that we express our resiliency or our frustration is through anger amongst ourselves, but that's because we've been conditioned to turn inward instead of outward. We've been through enough pain where we should be revolutionizing and tearing this whole damn place down, but we've been conditioned not to do that. And if we have a problem, we will hurt the ones who are closest to us than the ones who are not. So that's one thing. So I don't know if we're necessarily mentally ill for that, but we definitely have some mental health and emotional health issues because we haven't built ways to constructively move forward and evolve from our situation. We have learned how to just deal with and live with what we used to call the struggle. That's what we used to call our actual culture as the struggle We have learned to just sit with that and live with that, and that's what it is. We haven't learned how to evolve beyond it. That's what I try to do with the work that I try to do, is say, yes, we live in a white supremacist society, but that shouldn't stop us from being the top tier folks in this space and doing what we need to do to build institutions and things like that for our people. So let me transition to the ADHD commentary here. ADHD is a very subjective mental health disorder. All right? It's very subjective. I believe that there is a overdiagnosis of ADHD of black children, mainly black boys. I'm not the only person that has talked about this. Dr. Kawanja Jakufu's talked about this. Even Dr. Umar Johnson talked about it. Many people have talked about this. There's even a white man by the name of Dr. Bruce Levine who talks about the overdiagnosis of ADHD in black children. ADHD is subjective because, one, the school system is not set up for boys. The school system is set up for girls, and it's to make children docile in general, but for boys who are more physical learners, kinesthetic learners, school's not set up for that. So a lot of black boys who are already hyperactive due to the culture that we have and what's pumped in front of us, we're not going to fit in that kind of climate because we're not going to maintain or hold attention because the school systems that we're in do not entertain us. Right? It doesn't fit us. It doesn't hold our attention because it's not relevant. Unfortunately, we're on survival mode time. Even at that young age, the boy is 7, 8, 9 years old, it's survival mode. I talked about myself, survival mode. We're not going to sit in class and do our ABCs 1, 2, 3 because, hey, this is not fun. This is not something I want to do. I'm not going to sit here docile. But we haven't cultivated in our culture enough. There are folks who do this, but not enough of us. We haven't accepted this from a cultural standpoint. How do we cultivate our boys and our girls? Other ethnicities do this. We have given up all our responsibility to our children, to school systems that, for the most part, don't give a damn about the outcomes of our kids. That's what creates the prison or the school to prison pipeline. We have not took the educating. I shouldn't say we haven't took it. We have let go of the primary function as our community of cultivating our young to move them forward. We turn that over. Once we segregate it, we turn that over to someone else. So, of course, they're going to label our children ADHD because they're not sitting down like cattle in this Prussian school system waiting for a bell to ring so they can go to their next stall, next classroom, waiting for the bell to ring to go to the next classroom. That is not an effective way to teach boys. School can be done. There are people out here doing it. There's a man by the name of Chris Edman. He wrote a book called for white teachers who teach in the hood, and the rest of y'all too. He talks about ability to teach black kids, especially black boys, in a way that maintains their attention and helps them develop to move forward. He's been a pretty successful man who's talking about this. He has TED Talks and everything. But we've seen examples of this being effective when you change the dynamic and structure of how school is. Black boys will learn, and ADHD is not a problem. And guess what? There are boys who do have attention deficit disorder. They can't pay attention because they haven't learned to, and they come from stressful, traumatic family dynamics or households where there's all these other things going on. So sitting quietly in a class for 45 minutes doesn't work out very well. And then ADHD gets worse as you move forward because now these boys can't read, they're illiterate, they can't count, they can't write, so now they have shame. And it's easier for me to just get kicked out of class than for me to sit here and say, hey, I don't know how to write my name and I'm 13. So let me just raise hell, get kicked out, get sent to in-school suspension so I can hang out with my homies because that's more fun. So ADHD is a systematic, from my standpoint, it's a systematic response to what we've been through. But we as a community, we have not responded collectively on how do we help cultivate not just our boys but our girls. Because guess what? Our girls have they have attention deficit and hyperactivity issues just as much as the boys do. They just don't get labeled it as much. So I don't know if that helps answer your question. But I'm going to pause.
That was laid out very perfectly, and it proves the point. And I'm an open line because I think I want somebody in the queue right now. That the school systems in America for the last century, and I heard a rumor about this, was more catered to the female aspect than a balance. And I could see why they did that. And the problem is with that direction they took, especially with the schools here in America, why they took it, because they already foresee what is here and what's to come, why they went that direction. The problem is because the majority of people are black in this country. When they did that, it kind of hurt a whole bunch of the black male populace here, especially in the school system, because we are always constantly on a move and go of survival mode. And to sit in front of a classroom to a teacher that's not power race now, the teacher is something that is potentially obsolete if you want to keep 100. Not information important, but most of the information that the school systems that our children go to is public or charter, they're getting things secondhand and outdated, while the other kids in other school systems that's pretty much controlled by their own communities and cultures are getting what they need. Imagine that. So it doesn't suit our children moving forward.
Correct.
So that makes a lot of sense, Brendan. But let me see who raised their hand. All right, I'll open your line.
Big J, and you had asked me to call in.
Yes.
I agree with the guests because there are many studies about ADHD and how public education, like the book called War on Boys by Christina Hoff Sommers, because she wrote a book about that. And also that because you do, and also there's a guy from Texas A&M. I forgot his name. He also wrote a book, especially about black boys being mistreated by the education system. I think it's called Man Not.
Yeah, Tommy Curry.
Yeah, Dr. Kurt. He also wrote a book on that too, on the same topic. So those. Christina Hoff Sommers and Dr. Curry are my go-to choices when it concerning this type of boys in education and how the education system is being let's just say I wouldn't say hostile, but not as geared towards boys. And but there is one thing though that you did not you did not bring up. And that is the budgeting system, the budget. See, now I'm not a person who talks about white supremacy, wash and repeat, but there is one thing. There's one thing that I noticed is if you are in a southern state, I'm gonna use Texas, I'm gonna use Mississippi, I'm gonna use Alabama. We spent $6,000 per inmate. We spent $35,000 to $55,000 on per inmate, and most of those inmates come from the inner city. And where those students are being educated, those schools have less funds and less activities that is geared toward them. Would you agree with me on that one, Mr. Jones?
Correct. Yeah, budget's a huge part of this. Absolutely.
And my thing is, why do people don't talk about the budgeting system, the budget? Because I always believe that the source of quote-unquote white supremacy is in the state budgets between education and criminal justice, and also infrastructure spending.
Correct. Well, one, I don't think a lot of us understand the local government system and how those things are run and why those things are important. A lot of our school boards have people on them who their kids don't even go to the school that they're the school board for.
Right.
They're gonna maintain and do a budget based on other interests, not all the time on their own interests to have the outcomes for their own children. We don't talk about it because it's a hard conversation to talk about money because a lot of us don't understand it. But there are folks, Dr. Sam Doherty talks about this all the time. And I think that's one of the powerful things about this whole ADOS movement that gets missed because we're looking at the infighting that's going on, not at the actual data. But there are folks who talk about this economically. This is what's going on. The schools are directly linked financially to the prison. It's a financial thing. It's a direct correlation.
Right, because it was in Pennsylvania. It was in Pennsylvania that a judge went to prison because he was funneling kids. Funneling kids into the private prisons that he was a stockholder of.
Correct.
When was that? That was like 2015, 2016, around that time, wasn't it?
That's when he got caught. I mean, he was doing it for several years. Yeah.
Right. I'm talking when he went to jail.
But he's been doing that for over almost 25, 28 years.
Right.
So for him to get caught, you know how much lives he destroyed, but they allowed it.
Right. So that's what I mean. That we need to. I think the focus should be on the budgets, how budgets are laid out, who wrote the budget. We always see. I always believe that the origins of oppression comes from the budgets, because the budgets will tell you a year in advance of what they're going to do to you or do to the population. Every time there is a war, like I'll use a prime example: World War I, World War II. What did President Wilson and President Roosevelt did before the the two world wars? Oh, they increased the military budget. They started a draft movement that did awareness, quote unquote, preparedness and awareness movement, and then it went to war. People have to be laser focused on the budgets and look at the earmarks. If they really want, if people really want to be serious about this white supremacist, then they need to look into that realm. But thank you for your time, sir.
No problem. Thank you for your comments. Yeah, I mean, he makes a good point. One of the things that I focus on in the work that I do, that I say we had one of the strategies for Black folks. I don't always say solutions, because when you hear solutions, people start to identify you as the leader with the plan, and the plan doesn't always go as it should. So I always say these are strategies. These are things that we can apply on an individual level. Because unfortunately, we've learned that solutions means that I have a prescription that's going to fix us all, and everybody ain't going to make it. So let me say this. Two strategies that I talk about for us is policy and personal development. Policy and personal development. Policy on what? On a local level. We get caught up in the hype, in the show of national politics. You say Donald Trump, and people get triggered. But most people who are complaining and talking about Donald Trump don't have a clue who's on their school board, on the park board. They don't know who their county commissioners are. They don't know none of that stuff. And those are the people who have more of a direct impact on your daily life and your children than Donald Trump does. But most people don't understand politics. We have to go local on policy and politics. I am fortunate enough in my area to be in some spaces that a lot of Black folks ain't in. And I say I'm fortunate because I get to see how this stuff works on the other side of the curtain. And there are some folks who do want to see some change, and there are some folks that do have money to give you, but they don't know the right Black folks to fight to the table, so they invite the wrong folks, and then those folks are in it for their own personal benefit, and the work never gets done.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'll go after you. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll go after you, sir. Go ahead. I was going to ask something else.
Okay. Don't forget your point, though.
Okay. Now I'm somewhat of a policy wonk.
Okay.
So let me ask you if you agree with me on this, right? I'm going to ask you if you agree with me on this. Let's say if you have a program that is where like I'm gonna use the south side of Chicago for prime example. We just use that as an example. Let's say that you're in a school district that the education is subpar. Mm-hmm. Would you, as a remedy to the problem, would you create a program that would say, okay, if your son or daughter, if your child makes an A, straight A's through the whole year, we get to pay for your rent or half of your rent. How would you think such a program would be?
I think we'll have a lot more kids getting A's and B's. But again,
exactly.
I think that would only work though if there wasn't other opportunities to get that rent paid. So you would have, in order for that to work, you would have to take away, Section 8 housing or government assisted housing. You would have to take something away for that to work. Because what ended up happening is I'm a black man creating a program, but you got a government giving you assistance. Who you going to choose? You less likely to trust me due to anti-blackness. I'll pay you rent for a whole year if you give me one report card. You like, oh, the hell with that. That don't even sound right. I'm going to go over here to this government and let them pay for my stuff. That seems a little bit more feasible. But we have inner workings that we still have to deal with and work on, too. I mean, that sounds like a great program.
Yeah, the reason why I thought of this idea that I put out, I made this a year ago or so, because I think part of the problem is, and it's like what you said the other day. I'm sorry, a few minutes ago, how stress from the home is affecting the child's education. So maybe if Kim and Tyrone had made A's, on their report card, and the system would help assist the parent, maybe the less stress on the parent, so therefore, it will be more of an incentive for less stress, because money is a problem in a city, and also because like your average person in poverty, the people are in poverty, so like they're trying to catch up, but they're so far behind, so so like they don't have to go out and sell drugs or prostitute themselves or be kicked out by the landlord and what may have you. So that's why I think I would like to have that type of program to be stated. So anyway, I hang back.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. No, I think having creative strategies is going to be very important for us to move forward with stuff like that. But it's unfortunate that we have to incentivize and prioritize a child's education by paying somebody's rent when we should already be doing that. That's what that's just important by itself. Well, you can't get your rent paid if your kid doesn't do well in school. It should already be a standard culturally that our children's education is vital. I don't remember who said it on the line earlier tonight, but somebody had said, we encourage our children to go to school so they can get a good job. But that doesn't work in 2020. That don't work. You can go to school, you can go to college and get a nice 4-year degree. That is not guaranteeing you a job.
Right.
That is not guaranteeing you a job. Like we have old methods to shit that don't even work no more. You have to be a lot more smart today. You can't just go get any college degree. And there's no guarantee that if you go to a 4-year college that life's going to be okay. We have to be more creative and smart. So you talk about strategies and connecting to policy, we need to be figuring out where is the dollars at and start targeting markets. This is what all other ethnic groups do. They target workforces. Like I don't know what city you're in, but I can almost guess. If you have a taxi service or Ubers or Lyft, You got some Africans who are driving them cars.
Right.
Because they target what? Transportation industry. And what they'll do, they did this here in Minnesota. They start driving taxis. Then Uber and Lyft came. Now they driving both Uber and Lyft at the same damn time. Now they've been doing it so well for so long, they're opening up their own car services.
Mm-hmm.
Because they've learned that industry. We need to target industries. What do we know we need in the black community? We need a little bit of everything, one, but we know what's very, very vital. And there's money out there to go to school for free for this. Black teachers. So why are we not pushing black male teachers, let me say that correctly. Why are we not pushing black boys to become educators? We talk about they don't teach our history in school. Well, shit, we ain't got no teachers there to teach them in the first place. So if they did teach our history, it's going to come from a white man like it did for me in high school.
Mm-hmm.
we have to
But do you think that the reason why men are not be looked upon as teachers because of the atmosphere, or should I say the propaganda that men are more sexually you know how like the dirty old man who goes around preying on. Do you think that's the reason why you don't see men not become teachers, because that type of propaganda being perpetrated in the media?
No, I think they haven't, because we haven't, as a culture, said this is a viable career for you. They're dirty old men. One thing we can't let is sexual abuse propaganda fool us. Most sexual abuse happens from someone you know, and it's usually a family member. That's research all across the board.
Right.
So it's not the dirty old teacher, even though that does happen. It's not that's stopping us from becoming teachers, because we're scared that we're going to get accused of having sex with somebody. That's not the problem. The problem is we don't gear our boys towards careers, period. Black folks aren't geared towards careers, period. We're geared towards graduate high school so you can get up out my house, go to college so you can find a job. That is an awful strategy, and it definitely don't work in today's society.
Wow. You're right about that, Brendan. You're right about that, because they don't talk about certain careers push their youth in. And think about it, most other people that come, that's not part of America, that come here, like non-black people, they go to certain fields like either the STEM, engineering, doctors, lawyers, in certain fields. When it comes to our people here, they don't push that same message. Hell, some don't even emphasize if some of the youth go to college and then come out of it. If they're like going for like the bigger things, like to be, let's say, athletes, entertainers, and stuff.
I mean, we didn't even push to do that.
One parent,
to be honest,
you might push them for that than anything else.
Let me add
and
to
I'm seeing this trend. You're right. I'm starting to notice this trend, because we're not talking. We always talk about what was needed in the community, but you don't see that emphasis being pushed in our boys and daughters, especially boys.
Not at all. Let me add to that. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead.
No. Big J. Let him add to that. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. I'm sorry about that. You talk first. Sorry.
No, you're okay. I wasn't gonna forget my point, but just real quick, other ethnic groups. You're right. Other ethnic groups do push their children into certain fields, and guess what? If they choose to not follow those career paths, those other ethnic groups shame and sometimes even shun those youth, because they're saying this is how we make it in this environment, in society. You need to become a lawyer. You need to become a doctor. You need to get in IT. This is how you make it. We don't do that. We shun and shame our young people for stuff that is out of their control. They were never set up. We shame and shun them for staying home. But guess what? Many folks who are graduating out of college are going back home to live with their parents so they can pay off their student loan debt over a 2-year period and have a nice job, and then they go find their house, or the house gets passed down. We don't have a lineage structure in our community for our children to be successful at all. And we don't. And many of us don't know where to start. Go ahead, caller.
No. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I was just
I'm done.
talking.
You good? Go ahead. You good?
Well, okay.
And Big J, I'm gonna open the line after this because I see somebody else raise their hand. So go ahead.
Okay, good. But I'll say it. Okay, let me ask you something. How come people don't people who are into black culture, writing about the problems within black culture? Why haven't they went to places like successful middle class black towns like I just drove one out there like DeSoto, Texas, or Prince George, Maryland, and try to see what success that they have, and try to repeat that or repeat whatever success that they have on economically over where they're at. I mean, I think that I think that too many people are looking to the federal government to solve all the problems rather than looking at other black communities that are doing well, that are successful. Why hadn't anybody go on that approach, Mr. Jones?
Yeah, my answer to that is anti-blackness. We don't trust other black people, whether they're successful or not. Them niggas think that this is what they say in the community. Them niggas think they're better than us. That's why. And guess what? Sometimes they act like they're better than other people, even though we're in the same boat. We should look at other black communities and look at other black examples of how they become successful and what did they do to emulate that success. Hell, we should look outside the black community to see how other groups have become successful as well. What are they doing?
Right.
A lot of them start from the bottom. A lot of them start feeding off of us, creating economic systems off of us to get to where they need to be. We don't do the same thing. Because of anti-blackness, we rather fight about the issues and really focus on what we need to do. I mean, honestly, if we wanted to change things for us, there's some small things that we could do, like very small things. We should set up institutions for our children to be cultivated around the school that they're already in. So I'm talking about after-school programs. I'm talking about Saturday school or weekend schools, and these can just be program-type things. Things that keep our youth engaged because, unfortunately, a lot of our kids aren't engaged, and this is why they're out doing everything because there's nothing for them to do but get in trouble. So if we had opportunities for these kids, out of school time opportunities, it would help them, but it has to have an educational component. Also has to be something over the summer. Black kids, what happens over the summer? They go stay at grandma's house because mommy and daddy got to go to work. And they at grandma's house watching TV and on iPads all day. Like, they ain't learning shit. They ain't going to camp like Jewish kids are.
Well,
They're not going to camp like Chinese kids are. We have to cultivate the learning of our youth and make sure that it's consistent. That's just one thing. Go ahead.
Big
no, I'm not done.
BJ, can you do me a favor? Keep talking for 5 minutes. I got to step away to check this one thing call. Just keep talking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I mean, my name is Big J, by the way. My name is Big J. By the way. Like some cultures. Well, I think sometimes you have to. Sometimes I think that the parent should show should show where should show his child where he works at and what they do, because I remember when my grandpa took me around during the summertime doing plumbing work. That's how I know how to do plumbing work. Just like when my grandmother, she used to be I ain't gonna go her, but like they learned, they taught you what they did. Even my own mother, when she was doing, I learned what she did, and I learned, I learned the process of how like some people don't understand how that dollar bill is being made, They don't understand that either. So if a child will learn where that dollar bill came from, because I keep talking about allowances, right? They learn from where that dollar bill comes from, and they would respect money more too. That's also a problem, also the issue too, because people don't understand. They don't respect that dollar bill because of how worth that dollar bill is, and how much work that is, how that dollar bill has been obtained to them. So that also brings another character of understanding of what how money works and all that too, though. So anyway, so I'm gonna ask you something, Mr. Jones. Are you part of any other group or group or organization that's trying to try to advance more into black economics? Because I think
go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not a part of any organizations directly, but I do try to work with folks in that space if I can, but not a part of any association. Most of the associations I'm connected with are psychology associations, mental associations. Yeah, go ahead. Most of your field is in psychology and mental illness, right? Correct.
Because I thought you was more into the finances or the economics. I think the part of the problem, and I'm sure I just called in, so you may have already said it, but I think economics is probably one of the main issues on why certain black locations are not getting ahead, and there are certain policies that are hindering such success. And well, I don't know what to say. I agree. Yeah, so I don't know what to say right now. I'm just trying to buy time. So I'll tell you what. If anybody in a chat room has a question, I'll relay the question since Gary is
right, I'm back.
For the moment. Oh, okay, you back? Okay, never mind.
Hello, I'm back. Thank you, Big J. Yeah, I guess everybody's quiet in it. I'm gonna give a call number one more time. The call number tonight's show is 712-770-4160. Access code 915-411#. Tonight's subject: Chaos Reign presents mental illness or racial battles, fatigue, with Brandon Jones. I never told you the story, Brandon, in regards to education and this thing about people going to the college. I have my own views on that for the last, I would say, 3.5 years, maybe 2. I did a stream on this on T.R.S. A few years ago. I looked into it. Even the debt of this thing with even with college, with most of these students that go in there because they follow the same playbook that their parents, tell them, and they getting out this whoop of debt and not find ways to get out of it right now. And it's not just black people have an issue with it, especially the women that's on it more than the men per se, because they're in it more than most men. But it goes to even more that, okay, you're in it, but the end game is just to get a job and hope to get employment and maybe keep employment. But as you look at statistically, especially black men, you're the first one hired, the first one fired. Might not apply as much to women, but that applies to the men. And mind you, the men are in college. A lot of people feel that black men are not in college, but they are. But they're not in it at the same rate as our women. And we are getting the bulk of the debt. And we're not finding ways, or this government is not putting necessary programs to expunge it, depending on what field you're in. Some fields could expunge it. If you're in the military, it could help, but it will not, get you a free ride to the college. That's a false statement in itself, from what I'm hearing from other brothers from another channel. with this VA loan and all that stuff. So still, at the end of the day, our people have to have a strategic plan of why they're doing it, why you put your son or daughter in it, and what it's forgot, and what it really is the end game to really progress in this society, especially society is more being core digitally and technically advanced as time progresses. So doing the same thing like their parents done 25, hell, even 40 years ago, will not work for your children in the 21st century today. And I had the same argument with the same elder. He got offense. He think I was stupid, I was crazy. He even tell most black people or give young ideals that they should not invest their time and energy into a four-year university. And I told that stupid fuckboy enough times to say, listen, if it's not in these fields, being a lawyer, a doctor, or engineer, and I have to include STEM now, which I'm hearing rumor that some people have a hard time finding work STEM, which is very questionable, but that's another story. If it's not those three areas, you should not be investing any time and energy into university if you're not going for those so-called careers.
Yes.
Anything else you take up is waste of time, and all you're going to do is fill up your debt and make it hard for you to come up and progress in the society. Because debt is a barrier that is trying to keep people into economic slavery. A lot of people don't know that, Brandon.
I would agree.
They don't talk about it until their own son and daughters come out, and now they complain why they can't progress or get what they want, the job they want, and they have this woke ceiling debt over their head.
So, ask someone. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. So let me know. Like I said before, I see the problem, and I give solutions. Nor I just change it instead of dealing with solutions, give a certain strategy, because that will make better sense. Because the word solutions now, with us as black people, is being redundant. They don't want to hear it. Even the slight word to myself say, so what's the solution? When you hear any person talk about the solution, they're not serious, right then. I rant about two brothers that's in their 20s and 30s, and they talk about the same issues about the system. And the brothers that I'm around that give them a strategy, what they could do to better come up in the society, they question it. They complain about it. Some of them won't even want to read. Some of them won't even take the advice of other older black men, respectable black men. So I look at any day and say, using the word solution is pointless. I'd rather change the language up to get people to, understand. You feel me? So I tell most black people, and you lay it out better, that we got to do something different. Do something different. And if I would keep it real with most of them, I would tell them, if you listen to any old fool that's telling the same playbook that they do and you should apply it to today, you're setting yourself for failure. I'm not telling people they should go to college, but I tell you, if you go in it, you got to go in it with a different mindset. You got to go into an actual career that's still going to be there decades down the line, at least. Don't take no career that's been obsolete for 10 to 20 years. And don't do it because you just want to get just so you can please. No, you want to do it for yourself, black boy and black girl. That's going to be adults.
Right.
Because whatever your parents are doing to this point that has not gotten you pushing forward and is going to leave you holding the bag, they failed you. If you want to keep it 100. And a lot of people don't want to hear that word, that you failed your children.
Yeah.
And we had to come to realization we're failing our children every day, all day, with decisions we make it. We don't leave them with nothing at the end of it, and once we dead and gone, they're going to leave with the troubles we have on them, leaving the burden to them. And that has to stop. When they talk about the so-called black wealth that might be gone in the next 34 years, I tell people, and I want people to analyze good, how can this be accomplished? How is this going to be accomplished? We should always say how strategies is going to put in place to make this a reality. Don't worry about the projections they tell you. You should think how it's going to be a possibility. Yep. Are we still doing the same thing on the hamster wheel? Like this old fool I told you that got mad at me telling that I'm swaying youngsters not to go to college? I'm trying to say if you go on this same path, the same hamster wheel, you're going to be screwed within 10, 20 years down the line. It's guaranteed. That's why this bubble, this debt bubble, it's going to happen. I project it's going to probably happen next year, mostly because it can't surpass $2 trillion. And right now, they're half of that right now. So once this bubble bursts, all that debt that people owe, there's only one place you're going to be paid. Either they're going to start locking up physically, which they're probably going to start doing now, because prison's a business anyway, or they're going to start expunging more of the resources you have if you're able to get employment. You might as well screw the taxes you might lose. You might lose something much worse. You get me?
Yeah.
And all this really take a hit is when people cannot file bankruptcy off student loans back in the early 2000s. Can you imagine that? And I can see why they do it, because you're not going to be able to pay this off.
Right.
So what does this do? They said, no, we're going to put this, you're going to hold this back by any administrator. You're not going to walk off of this. I tell people, either you're going to understand how the game works or you're going to get fucked. It's one way or the other. You're not going to see it get fucked.
Nope.
So you could go ahead and say what I just had to let that out.
No, yeah. I can't disagree with what you're saying. As somebody who has 3 degrees, it's too many. You only need one, honestly, if that. You might not even need that depending on what field you go in or what strategy you have. But again, we have to understand the current times that we're in and where things are going and prepare our young people for it. You know, that's one of the reasons why I am a professor, is because my aim is to get to as many young black. I actually posted something on my Facebook from one of my students who sent me an email just thanking me for the work, just to be in my class. I never even had a black teacher, and you keep it real, and you show images of black people, and it's just something I never had, and I've had such an impact on her through that type of work. But I do it to let them know you've made this decision to come to school. You need to figure out if this is the best path for you here. Because if you need to shift, you need to shift to the right path. So if you want to be like me and go into psychology, you have to understand how to make money around it, because trying to see 30 clients every week is going to burn you out, and the money is not that good for it. So you better understand how to write some books. You better create a YouTube channel. You better start doing events or healing circles or something, because if you want to make a living in this economy, in this world, you're going to have multiple streams of income with the information that you have. I did not have that knowledge when I started, and that's why I have 2 master's degrees. Technically, I should only have 1. If I would have known what I knew now, then I would only have 1, and I would have had a different path. But I did not know. I did not have mentors. I did not have anyone pointing me in the right direction. I had people encouraging me to keep going forward, though, because they seen that I had potential, but no one was guiding me. I had to figure this stuff out on my own. So now when I run into young people who are like, I'm getting a psychology degree, I'm like, okay, what you plan on doing with that? They don't know. They're just interested in psychology. They just like psychology. And it's like, you can like it, but you can learn this shit on your own. You don't need to get a degree.
You don't need a degree for that.
No.
They got books
As someone who has 3 of them, you do not need a degree in this. You're better off getting an MBA if you're going to get a master's degree, or go to law school. You can learn psychology on YouTube and read a couple books. Hell, you can buy psychology textbooks and get all you need and save yourself thousands of dollars.
Yeah. It's
and
a
that's
Ponzi
from
scheme.
Someone who teaches it.
It's a Ponzi scheme at the end of the day, a lot of these degrees, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people feel the better school you go, the better. No, it's not what you know.
That doesn't even matter.
It's who you know.
Yeah.
If you're able to get to the top universities in this country, you better be networking the hell out of people.
And most black
folks don't be sitting there trying to get a degree and then your network. No, your network is your net worth. Especially if you're able to get into this university. I remember Boyce Watkins' brother, his younger brother, when his parents found out that he went to I forgot what university. I think it's somewhere in New York. And he didn't want to just get another degree or get whatever degree he has. He went in there with a different mindset and network with some people he could connect with. And that's why you see what he's doing now, he's doing things online, teaching people how to be, speakers. But he wasn't able to do that or learn any of these skills by sitting in class and he networked himself.
Yeah, but again, we've been conditioned on just get the degree. But there's more to college than the degree. Really, you go to college to build networks. The degree just gets you in the door. What keeps you in the door and keeps you moving forward is relationships. And as black folks, we have allowed these relationships to get beyond us, and we just stay to ourselves. You need to leverage relationships. White racism, white supremacy is a very real thing, and it does show up. But you need to leverage them just like they leverage you to get to where you need to be. To me, it's a transaction. I don't need to like you to benefit. I don't need to like you to keep moving forward. I don't need to be friends with you. But if there's a mutual benefit and the benefit on my end is what I'm seeking, let's make it happen.
Exactly. So now I'm going to check one last time, and it looks like everybody's silent. They're liking this conversation. So, I will have to probably conclude tonight's session. If you don't mind, Brandon Jacobs, if you give people the links to where they can find it and where they can hit you up.
Yeah, for sure. No problem at all. So if folks want to connect with me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, if you just search in Facebook, you can find me. My handle is by Brandon Jones. B-Y, Brandon, B-R-A-N-D-O-N, Jones, J-O-N-E-S. You put that in search in Facebook, you should be able to find me. You put that in Instagram, by Brandon Jones, you can find me. You can put by Brandon Jones on Twitter, you can find me. So my social media handle on those three platforms is by Brandon Jones. Definitely connect with me and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I just started ramping that back up, putting content on there. I should have videos on there every 2 days. So you can find me. My YouTube channel is Brandon Jones, and I'll send you the link, Chaos, so you can just post it as well. But you can find if you type in Brandon Jones Jegna, Jegna, or Brandon Jones Mental Health, something like that, you should be able to find my channel pretty easily. Or you can go to my website. You can go to my website, which is www.jegna.org, and Jegna spelled Jegna, Jegna.org, and you can find me there. If you need to contact me, you can contact me there on my website as well. You have all the rest of my contact information. So definitely connect with me if you have any questions. You want to bounce anything off of me. Hell, if you feel like you need someone, go ahead.
I have one call. Let me see if this is him.
Okay.
Who's this?
Hey, Gary. It's ABC, man.
You just now called now, and I'm about to end the show. What's up?
Yeah. I just got off work, man. I was just glad to see. It's a really good guest, and I was able to hear maybe the last 15, 20 minutes. I thought it was really interesting that he talked about having 2 degrees, and he really don't need it. And I heard you, Gary, talking about how, this thing about education, of course education is good and necessary, but there needs to be a purpose behind it. So, I'm just with everything you guys are talking about. I think this guy is really interesting. I wish I had a chance to call in earlier and have heard more about it. I just wanted to ask him about. I don't know if you guys have talked about this already, but I talk a lot about how we are. Well, to just keep it plain and simple, how we messed up, and we got the white man's name and his religion, and I go as far as to say that this world is his, and we have become him in a lot of ways, but we have some remnants of who we were, and we're trying to be a black man, a black woman, but everything in this world tells us his way is the way. And
correct.
What I kind of fight against is a lot of us have bought into that. So when you try to talk from a different perspective about being like, hey, look, the white man says you need to do this, you need to make this much money, you need to buy this, you need to do this, that's him saying that, and that's the way he do it, and that's how it works for him. But we ain't got to think like that, and I like to repeat that thing from the Bible: be in the world, but not of it. Learn the game, figure out how to play the game, but you don't have to do what he do, and you don't have to make your goals what his goals are, and all this different kind of stuff. So,
correct.
I hear you responding, and that's basically what I wanted to know what you think about that whole idea.
Oh yeah, I'm right on point with you, right? Don't hate the player, don't hate the game. Learn the rules so you can win. That's where we are right now in this society. It can be our way. It doesn't have to be their way. We can define what manhood looks like for us, but we have to be able to push it and cultivate it from our own standpoint. We don't have to resemble or emulate anybody. When we do things our way, it always turns out better anyway. But we haven't figured that out socially on a collective level where it helps evolve us as a culture. Our whole culture, to this standpoint, has been a response to white supremacy, but we haven't.
Right.
Our response has not been to elevate beyond it. Our response has always been to maintain a level of survival in it. That's the work that I do, is try to help us move beyond it.
Wow. Well, let me just ask you, so what do you think about our identity? Like I said, I pretty much think that we're so messed up that, and I actually did a show last night talking about double consciousness. W.E.B. Du Bois talked about it, and Richard Wright. And I don't know that it has to be a bad thing, but it's got us confused, man. And then most of us don't know our origins, so, we don't know what we try. Who am I? This kind of thing. I'm black. That's the only identity. I got black skin. I like to eat chicken and I like to dance. That's the only thing I know as far as, we can get into culturally, music, this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But we don't, I don't know if I'm from Ghana or South America or from a Native American. I don't know. So that part is hard, Yeah.
Yeah, yes, we're all mixed up, but at the end of the day, you're here, I think one of the things that we just have to accept is that we are created people. We are, like I said earlier, we are GMO Negroes. Like, we were created.
Right.
Like, this is where we're at. We have to just swallow that pill and move forward. Like, we can't change that. I can't change the fact that I can't trace down my lineage. It sucks. It pisses me off.
Right.
But I can't do nothing about that. I'm here.
Right.
I have a purpose now. The Creator has put me in this world to do something at this point in time. And I have created my own children, so I need to make sure I leave something for them so they can keep moving forward and that they don't just get wiped out from an ethnic standpoint. Right. We have to move beyond trying to understand everything that happened to us. We know little bits and pieces, and we've been, like you said earlier, we've been able to carry pieces of our culture with us. Those pieces are critical because that's what's helped us maintain in this crazy world that we live in already. We need to elevate, leverage those strengths, and evolve. We have not learned how to evolve. We've only learned how to exist. And we can't exist any longer because even white folks are trying to struggle to exist themselves. And if it comes down to putting food in a white child's mouth or a black child's mouth, we're going to be in a bad situation. I don't want to talk like that. I don't want to get blackpilled. But but we can, because if it ever comes down to that, we're going to be in an uphill battle for our survival. We have to start acting now. We have to start understanding this system so we can build and move beyond it. And we have to stop seeing ourselves as victims, because we are victims, but we can't stay stuck in a victim position. Take that and move forward.
Man, I sure wish I had a chance to get in here earlier and talk to you. I love what you're talking about. Hey, let me just ask one last question, then I'm going to get off here. Yeah. Something that I say a lot that I take a lot of heat for, but I'm serious about this, is, we got a bunch of people in here that they keep yelling, what's the facts? You got to know the facts. You got to know the facts. I don't want to know what we're thinking, what you believe. I want to know the facts and all this stuff. And another word they like to use is research. Do your research. And I shove it back in their face and I say, look, man, all you doing is reading up what the white man wrote from his perspective and regurgitating that shit. You say it's facts and you keep telling us about facts, but and I'm not denying that facts exist. There's a joke they throw around like 1 + 1 is 2. You say that ain't a fact. I ain't trying to get into all that, but I'm just saying, look, a lot of this information that we have been educated with is from the white man's perspective, and I talk about the white man's science and shit like that. And again, science is science. We know that, but the point is that you read these books and stuff. He wrote them. He giving you the information that he has decided is important and what he wants to tell you. You know, some of the stuff he can hold back for himself. Yeah. So I think that we have to be cognizant of that and not just lean on that, because otherwise we just waiting on him to give us, you know, tell us what our reality is. We need to define it for ourselves.
Absolutely. And it's okay to do that. And understand that how we define it is okay. We don't need validation from anyone else to say, yeah, that's correct. Right. Like, yeah, you black people got it right. No, like, that we do it for ourselves.
Right on. Hey, good talking to you, brother. I hope you come back on the show sometime.
Sure thing. Whenever I'm invited, if I'm available, I'll be here.
Right on, brother. Hey, thanks, Gary.
Yep, thank you, ABC. All right. Thank you again, Brendan Jacobs, for your time and energy and the wealth of, you know, not only knowledge, but another way of looking at things of reality in regards to this mental illness and how our people do get very fatigued in the stress of this environment, how racism takes a toll not only physically but mentally on people. And to be honest with you, because this was such a very good stream, and I think I got a different perspective and learned something tonight, I will probably have you back on in a future show to keep it fair. Because there's so much things to also talk about that. And, you know, once you do send me information, I will be subscribing to your channel, you know. Because, you know, I think these conversations and look at things from, you know, a clinical perspective is needed. You know, and I think you bring a very necessary element for our community. So, you know, I'll be waiting on that. So thank you again for being a guest on tonight's show and on the stream.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you for having me again. If anyone wants to reach out, just go to www.jegna.org, jegna.org. You can find my contact information there and links to all my products and services and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And I'd like to thank everybody for listening in to tonight's show. Be on the lookout for the next stream. Other than that, thank you again for listening in. Until next time, good night, black people.
All right. Peace, everybody.
Thank you again for listening into this previous broadcast. Like always, comment, subscribe, and like the video. And follow me on Twitter at ChaosReign7. Until next time,
let the chaos reign.